Congrats! You finally unlocked the Warlord. You know he's a game changer, so now it's time to load into a run and check him out. And that was super disappointing. I thought he was supposed to be amazing. Here's the secret. You haven't invested in his forge yet. My goal is to provide you with a mental model, so you can come out the other end understanding how the forge works and how to make the best choices for your roster of heroes. You use the forge to upgrade a weapon's power for exponentially more damage and cost. The 8,500 forge tokens will take you up to 2 months of arena grinding. But that's when the Warlord transforms. He's no longer swinging a slow broken axe. The Warlord starts hitting like a 5-star Orc Lord on steroids, but only with his 5-star forge. So it's really important to understand where to invest in the forge and how to maximize your damage, because each choice is literally going to impact months of your life. So in this guide, we're going to cover the forge basics, how to spend weapon tokens, and then the actual forge settings for the most popular weapons and heroes. Now, grab your weapon tokens and an anvil, because we're fearlessly flying face first into the forge. First up, some basics. The forge is unlocked after you clear chapter 31. It goes together with the arena event. The tokens you earn in the weekly arena event are used in the forge to upgrade weapons, both for heroes, base weapons, and special weapons. To access the forge, you open up your collections tab and then click on Armory before choosing the weapon you want to look at. Select the forge tab to be greeted with an upgrade tree. Or if you're looking for a hero weapon, you can actually go to your rosters of heroes, click on your hero, and then click on their weapon. That'll take you directly to the forge. Each forge accepts 2 types of tokens: the weapon tokens specific to that weapon, and super tokens. You can mix and match these 2 types of tokens in order to upgrade a weapon. For example, in my most recent upgrade, I used 500 of the Warlord's weapon tokens and 1,000 super tokens in order to reach his 3-star forge. Super tokens can be used across any weapon in the forge, while the specific weapon tokens are used for the specific weapon. And once spent, you cannot get them back, so spend them wisely. But what exactly are you buying? The forge unlocks a weapon's true potential over the course of 5 levels. Like everything else in HVH, this is a grind, but every grind counts, and this one counts more than others. The first level will set you back 1,000 tokens. The second level costs another 1,000 tokens, 1,500 for the third, 2,000 tokens for the fourth, and 3,000 for the fifth. All in, you're looking at 8,500 weapon tokens in order to max it out. That equates to about 8.5 weeks of grinding for super tokens in the arena, but more on that later. For now, know that levels 1, 2, and 5 give you 2 options. When you unlock the level, you'll be able to freely switch between the options, so don't worry about getting locked in to choosing the left or the right side. Furthermore, your choices will be saved to your loadout. I had this problem once, where everything seemed to keep changing from run to run, and it turns out I had different choices set up for my farming run versus my max damage run. But you should change your forge choices for different loadouts. Different modes had different requirements, and so it's good to change your options based on the game mode that you're playing. Just know that they are tied to your loadout, and so if things get confusing, that may be one of the reasons why. Going through the levels, level 1 and level 2 normally just make your weapon stronger, with some exceptions for certain heroes. You generally want to take the cooldown option if it's available until you have 60% cooldown on your stats screen. At that point, the cooldown listed in the forge generally goes to waste, again with some small exceptions that aren't worth worrying about right now. At that point, you can switch off of cooldown to the other option. If cooldown isn't one of the options, then I generally try and follow this rule of thumb. First, pick the cooler sounding thing, then choose projectiles, then area of effect, and then anything else. I know cooler sounding doesn't make a lot of sense, but generally, if you're reading that description and it sounds cool, it's probably a pretty good choice. But you can always go look at the talent system rarity to gauge what constitutes a good option in the forge. A legendary talent is typically better than an epic talent, which is better than a rare talent. Level 3 is going to always be a global buff. It impacts all heroes and all weapons. This is exactly like the global skills heroes obtain by level progression. The best globals on weapons generally follow plus to projectiles, a greater than 1.05 multiple to damage, or a reduction in cooldown. But again, you can use the talent system rarity to gauge the relative importance of different globals. Level 4 in the Forge is when things get interesting. This level almost always improves the evolution of your weapon. Level 1 and level 2 usually offer some utility, But level 4 and the improved evolution is when you're going to start pumping numbers. Hitting the 4-star Forge can completely change a hero. Take for example Monk, who starts off as a B tier hero, but with his Forge becomes a low S tier hero able to clear all of hard mode with ease. Finally, the 5th tier of the Forge usually helps improve your evolution in some cool and powerful way. The Warlord's actually the example where this 5-star Forge is actually as important, if not more important, than his 4-star, and just unlocks a tremendous amount of damage. And since we've gone through all 5 levels of the Forge, now is as good a time as ever to explain the notation you'll typically see in forums and in Discord. When people are referring to the Forge, you'll usually see them write 5 with an asterisk next to it. That just simply reads 5-star, and is referring to the level in the Forge they're talking about. You'll also see people refer to the Forge with either an LLL or an RRR type of notation, which you can read in your head as left, 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 or right, right, right. This notation suggests which option someone believes is the better one for the hero at levels 1, 2, and 5. For example, you want to go LRL for Warlord, or left, right, left, to maximize his damage in boss brawl. You're taking a 1.1 multiple of damage at level 1, a 1.2 damage to bleed at level 2, and then quad strike at level 5. That's LRL. But before I go into even more detail on which weapons and heroes you should be looking to upgrade first, let me explain where to get these tokens. Forge tokens are primarily earned from the arena, which you unlock after beating normal mode chapter 31. You won't be able to clear much of the arena that early, but you should still give it a shot and clear as many stages as you can at your current level. Completing the arena will award you 3,500 tokens of that week's specific weapon. You'll also earn 1,000 super tokens along the way. They recently introduced hard mode arena for after you've fully cleared regular arena once. Hard mode arena is significantly harder than regular arena. It offers 10% more Forge tokens at each level, and you get to choose between 3 different options on which weapon you'd actually like to win the tokens for. This allows experienced heroes to do 2 things. Number 1 is to avoid weapons for which they already have a 5-star Forge. Getting more tokens after you've fully forged a weapon are essentially useless. There's no exchange mechanism, so you want to avoid overbuying tokens for one particular weapon. And then 2, it gives them the option to choose between the 3, so you're not selecting for a weapon you don't own. If you get tokens for a weapon you don't own, they're also worthless until you unlock the hero. Having weapon tokens will not unlock the weapon or unlock the hero. However, in both arena modes, it's important to note the priority in which the weapons appear each week. They alternate between a base weapon and a hero weapon. Over the course of a year, the base weapons will appear 26 times. Since there's only 11, you'll be able to upgrade all of them to 4 stars and a couple to 5 stars. But as a general rule of thumb, don't use super tokens on base weapons. Instead, you can grab 1,000 Fire Orb or 1,000 Bob tokens from Hero Clash over the course of the year. Hero Clash is actually one of the few places you can actually get Forge tokens in the game. The only other way to earn tokens is through weekly events. For example, the current event offers Bunny Forge tokens and the Easter Forge Guardian tokens, but each event will typically have some tokens available for whoever the special hero is that week. So, where should you invest your super tokens? I'll give you a mental model on how to best invest your super tokens between special weapons and heroes. At a high level, I think you should put your super tokens into special weapons, heroes, and then to a much lesser degree, fire orbs or bomb in the base weapon tier. Special weapon forges will help all heroes through all game modes. I then suggest you pick a main hero and get their weapon forge all the way up to 5 stars. And I truly believe you'll get all of the weapon tokens you need for the base weapons from the arena, so try not to use any super tokens on that base set of 11. So let's look at how to use super tokens for special weapons. In my opinion, the 3 special weapons that you want to invest in the most are Mighty Borer, Dynamite Slingshot, and Scrap Hammer. And if you have to pick just one, I would go with Mighty Borer. This is the single best jack-of-all-trades awesome weapon in the game. The first and second levels of the Forge are nice amps to damage for the Borer, and the 3-star level Forge adds a nice global buff to damage, but it really shines at the 4 and 5-star level. At level 4, you get a slow, but that slow applies to the unevolved Mighty Borer, so as soon as you put 1 point in it in a run, you start to slow Horde. That's incredibly valuable for Nightmare mode and for basically every other mode where you want to slow down Horde from getting at you. But to make things even better, The 5-star Forge also applies to the unevolved base Mighty Boar. So the 4-star applies a slow, and the 5-star more than doubles the potential damage of the boar, making it one of the best weapons in the entire game that you can use across all of your heroes. And for those playing at home, the Forge options there are LRL. Next up is Dynamite Slingshot. This one is great for its level 2 Forge, which offers Expose. Expose increases the damage Horde take from all sources, in this case by 10%. But Dynamite's 4 and 5-star then add a tremendous amount of damage to the weapon itself, allowing you to use it in both hard mode, nightmare mode, and wherever you need to just do a ton of damage. And then lastly is Scrap Hammer. Scrap Hammer has the same benefits as Mighty Boar, where its 4 and 5-star levels actually apply to the unevolved base weapon, which is quite rare in all of the weapon hierarchies. The problem with Scrap Hammer, and the reason why I mentioned it third, is that you actually need that 5-star Forge in order to make it super viable. Before that, it's kind of crap, but if you put in this giant amount of investment, it does pay off. Just like the heroes I'm going to talk about now. I have the Warlord being the single best user of his Forge for any hero in the game. I've talked about him a lot, and he feels awful when you first get him, but his 4 and 5-star Forge improvements give him so much damage, you can actually start building him defensively, and he'll still pump out DPS. There are several other heroes that fit this mold, where their damage just grows exponentially as their Forge power increases. These 5-star damage monsters that come to mind for me are Artificer, Oracle, Assassin, and Druid. Druid's particular to boss brawl, but if you ever want to compete at the very highest levels of boss brawl, you're going to need a 5-star Forge Druid. Next up on the hero side, I have a sleeper OP Forge in Santa. He's my favorite hero in this game, and so I'm a little bit biased, but his 3-star Forge offers a 5% increase to your gold key chance. And those are so incredibly hard to find in the game that basically Santa is the only one with it. I've ranted about Santa like half a dozen times already on this channel, but it's hard for me to overinflate how much value is in this global. This 5 percentage point increase to your gold key chance from 15 to 20 is a 33% increase in your overall gold key chance. That is huge. This one Forge option is saving me 187 hours of my life. And to make things even better, it's at the 3-star level, which means you get to save 5,000 super tokens in the process. Santa is an awesome hero, and one that you should really try and get if you can. And there's one last type of hero I want to talk about that really benefits from a Forge. And Knight is a really good example of it. Getting Knight to 4-star Forge totally transforms the hero. He goes from being good but falling off towards the end of hard mode, to being able to easily clear hard mode, clear some of the hardest parts of nightmare mode, and beat all of arena, just because of his 4-star Forge. The improvement here is adding area of effect and knockback to his weapon. That disruption allows him to survive where he basically couldn't otherwise. Other heroes that fit this mold are Monk, Dark Paladin, and Necromancer. All of those heroes are already quite good, but they go to a completely different level once they hit their 4-star Forge. And that's it. That's my guide to the Forge. I hope I drilled into your brain how incredibly valuable super tokens are at this point. They are the way to truly unlock a hero's potential from the Forge, and every 1,000 is basically 1 week of your life. Furthermore, I would like to really say that you should try to invest in one main hero and get them all the way up to 5-star Forge. If you have something like Clockwork Mage, Artificer, Monk, Warlord, or any of these guys that really benefit from a 5-star Forge, it's worth it to get them all the way up there and then just start clearing content to your heart's content. Just make sure that they are your favorite hero, because you're going to be putting a lot of investment into them. You're going to be using them an awful lot. And I'm Coles. I'm a high-level HVH player and part of a top 10 guild. You can find me here, on Discord, or on my website, hvhlounge.com, where I'll have a written version of this guide that I'll keep up to date with any new changes. If you want priority answers to your questions, you can sign up for my Patreon, where you can also become an executive producer, like Cake Invictus and Riverwind, who are the executive producers of this video. If you like the video, please subscribe. And remember, always do your adventures!